Cultural cognitive grammar emphasizes the role of culture in shaping our cognitive processes and argues that language is not just a tool for communication, but also a way of thinking about the world. It suggests that our understanding of language and grammar is shaped by our cultural experiences and that this understanding influences how we think about the world around us. There. He talks about cultural cognitive grammar in reference to his meta theory of 4P, the ways of knowing. I would like to give Valeria a word.
He first, because he gives this very clean definition of what is the cognitive grammar, the habitual patterns, both individual and the culture. So there's my individual cognitive grammar, like Harris was talking about, the models, the schemes, and the things that I have inherited from my culture in order to build my own. Yeah, and like the grammar of our own language, it's transparent to us. That's why it's so difficult to talk about it, because we see the world through it and we think like, yeah, that's the world, that the way that the world is. We don't see the lenses that of our cognitive grammar. So, for example, one of the things that he points that is problematic with our cultural cognitive grammar is the Cartesian framework. That we always, yeah, you put it in the chat. We separate objective and subjective as if that was a separation in the world because of Descartes, like Renes Cognitas and Renes Extensa. So it's either something is subjective or that thing is objective. And we don't have any access to the transjective, to the relationship that I think Nishatani talks about, that the objective things are things that are represented as an object. And who is doing the representation? I am doing the representation. So it's not that separable, the objective and subjective. Another example that I have is the Newtonian cognitive grammar. The formulating causality as A causes B causes C causes D, which is great for avoiding circular explanations, but terrible when we have systems that have a lot of feedback loops. And if you want to study dynamical systems, you cannot use that kind of grammar anymore. And we have this tendency to think of causality only in a Newtonian way, which makes us very difficult, for example, to study wisdom, which is a thing that is a super, and relevance realization, which is super full of feedback loops. Right? What I find relevant determines what I pay attention to. What I pay attention to determines what I find relevant. Therefore, I cannot study relevance realization. Wisdom is impossible, and let's just do something else. There is a lot of these little things in our cognitive grammar that is hindering us from finding the meaning. And, for example, the science versus religion. Either it's science or it's religion, and they are both frameworks that are trying to figure out what reality is, and either one is wrong or the other is wrong. Or the framework of framing everything as good or bad, and we want more of the good and less of the bad, instead of thinking in terms of trade-offs. It's like, if I get more of this, I get this good things and those bad things, and if I get more of this, I get this good things and those bad things. And thinking about, we discussed a lot about it on opponent processing. It's like, no, they're different, and they're both important, even though they are opposing. And mind and body, that's also this distinction between mind and body. It's not a distinction because they're super related. But in John's words, it's the fundamental patterns of intelligibility, the habitual ways in which we formulate our problems and we think about things. Is this objective, is subjective? Is this, how was the causality here? Is X good or is it bad? These mental habits. The fundamental categories that we use in order to work our ontology and articulate our experience. Those they shape the way in which we see the world. And when we try to solve the problems and understand the problems, we are caught in this frame. because that's how we think. It's the lenses through which we think.
「野獣はな、どう強くとも野獣に過ぎん。人間以下のものでしかないんだ。哀れなやつだ。知恵の光を知らぬやつ。人間の真の強さとはそんなものじゃない。だけどもう一晩よく考えておけ。首はいつでも跳ねてやるぞ。」